The first thing I'm doing is cooking down some onions and some pancetta to get a little flavor. This is pancetta. You know it as unsmoked Italian bacon. When you buy it, you want to make sure that you have that nice ratio of fat to meat. And this line of fat should be very creamy looking. If it's yellowish, you don't want that. That's old. So all I did was dice this up with the onions to give this a little bit of flavor. I want to add a little bit more olive oil to this now because my pan is getting just a tad dry. So there's a little bit more olive oil. And then we want some garlic with this. So you want to mince up some garlic. I like to do that on a microplane. Makes it so much easier. You don't have to worry about trying to get it minced on your cutting board. And if you use this, it just goes right into the pan. Very easy to do. So this is tomato paste. And this is a trick that all Italian nonas used when they made their sauce. They always added tomato paste, not to the cooking sauce, but to the flavoring onions. And you want to mix that around and coat everything in the pan with the tomato paste. This just kind of boosts up the flavor in the finished sauce. Now to make this sauce, you're going to have a little time. Once you put it all together, you can just fix it and forget it. It goes in the oven. So we start it on top of the stove and we finish it in the oven, or if you wanted to, you could just let it go over low heat over the stovetop for a couple hours at really low heat. But you see how pretty this is now, how that tomato paste just gave that really a great color. We scoop this out, put it into a small bowl, and keep the pan on high. And when you make this sauce, you want to start with a pan, a heavy-duty pan. So something that's really going to hold the heat, because as I say, you're going to cook this for a long time, about 2.5 hours, until that meat is really, really tender. Okay, there is our tomato base. Now we take this shank. We give this a little bit of salt and a little pepper, and we put it right in the pan. So in it goes. We turn up the heat now, and we want to brown that. Now, don't rush this process. This takes time. So a little bit of pepper on the other side. You noticed I used tongs to put it in, so I wasn't contaminating everything. But if you're using your hands, you want to make sure that you go back and you wash them. So you put the shank in. Don't touch it. If you try to move it around, it's all going to stick to the pan. Put it on medium-high heat and let it go until it easily moves in the pan, and then you can turn it to the other side. All right, when it's browned all the way, it's going to look like this. Nicely browned on both sides. So then you can take it out. Take the meat out. And now we're going to put back the onions and the pancetta and the tomato paste. And with it, we're going to have tomatoes. So here we have plum tomatoes. Remember, you know what plum tomatoes are. These are the tomatoes that you use for sauce. They're very pulpy, meaty. They don't have a lot of seeds. We're going to add some sugar to this. So there goes a couple tablespoons of sugar. We're going to add a pinch of salt, pinch of pepper, and some red wine vinegar. You can get these recipes on ChowItalia.com. So about a couple tablespoons of vinegar go in. Mix that all around. And now we put it in with the onions over the back of a spoon. You know why? You don't want to splatter yourself. This is a great way to break that spill. Put it back in the pan. That's about 1 1/4 pound shank piece. Take your cover, put it on, and now you can either put this in the oven at 325 degrees for about 2.5 hours, or you can cook it on top of the stove. So I'm going to do it in the oven. Let's take a look at it and see. I wish you could be here to smell this now. Got to get a fork. So I want to show you how tender that really is. You see how easy that knife goes right into the meat. You take it out onto your board. There's one. This is going to make, when you're done, about 3 cups of sauce total. You need about 2 cups or so for the pound of rigatoni. You just shred it up really into pieces. It's so tender and so delicious because, of course, it has all that beautiful connective tissue that gives great flavor. So there we are. We have our shredded meat. And now this goes into the pot. Look at that. Nice, thick. You're not going to believe how delicious that is. And then just mix it around in the sauce. Then the last thing we want to give this is some fresh basil. You want to do that at the end because you want those oils to stay in the herbs. You don't want to destroy that. So just shred up some fresh basil, as much as you want. Maybe 3 or 4 leaves is good. And now let's see where we are on pasta, because now this is all ready to go. You could actually make this several days ahead of time. Let me see where we are here on the pasta. We want to make sure that that's cooked perfectly. Al dente means it's held its shape. You break a piece in half, you don't see any white flour. That's what al dente means. So now we're ready to drain this. Isn't that pretty? You look at that. So now we're going to take some of this beautiful sauce. As I say, you need about 2 cups of this, and I'm just gauging it because I've made this so many times. Let me turn the heat off on that now. It smells absolutely wonderful. That's about 2 cups. And we want to toss. Give it a nice toss. So when you do a chunky sauce, think chunky pasta. When you do a smooth sauce, you want to think a smooth pasta, like a spaghetti or a linguine. But for this, you want a chunky pasta. This is actually one of my family's very favorite dishes. So when you sauce, you do want to coat the pasta, but you want to see the pasta. You don't want to have it drowned in sauce. So that looks great. We're going to add some Parmigiano Reggiano over the top. That's how you use your beef shank. Easy.